Hi folks, welcome to the video, and in this video we're going to see the new Bruno V3 release. We shaped a lot of features, and this video is going to be very interesting where we will go to know like inbuilt terminal, open API spec, and there are a lot of features which we moved from paid features to open source. So it's going to be a very interesting. So let's see Bruno V3 in action and let's get started. I'm going to give you the walkthrough, what are the features we shipped and where you should think about the migration and what are the changes it looks like. So today's agenda is give the V3 features walkthrough, what we shipped in V3, and then features move. There are plenty features which we moved from paid edition to open source, what those features are, and the Git and Workspace edge cases. So where you have Workspace. Right now, we have implemented a workspace feature where you can add multiple collection into a single workspace. So what are the different edge cases you have to make sure that you don't get any conflict in the Git? So we are going to discuss that. And finally, if you have any thoughts or if you have any feedback or question, you can feel free to ask. Or also meantime, like while explaining any feature, if you have any issue, you can just put a message or you can unmute yourself and go for it. And at the end, we will take questions from community. So let's get started with the Bruno directly and let's see what are the features which we shipped. So first thing we are going to discuss all the V3 features walkthrough. So first thing I'm going to show you very simple but most requested features, which are the Bruno themes. There are like a lot of folks are requesting regularly on themes. They want to see the themes. They want to see Bruno in different color aspects. So we recently shipped. So there are different features available here. It depends like which one you like. I personally like this latte feature, which gives you a better visibility of color and it feels really good. And VS Code Lite is also another which I personally like. So these are the themes feature which we shipped. So this is a VS Code Lite, which is another like gives you same feeling like a VS Code. And if you go into dark, so we have different 6 or 7 themes which are available. So you can just navigate and go through. So these are the themes feature which we have shipped. I will navigate to light and I will keep it to this. So this is my favorite one. After that, there is another feature called Workspace, which is an interesting feature where you can actually put all your collection into a single workspace. In open source, you can add 2 workspace at a time. If you want to add more workspace, then you have to go for the upgrade your Bruno, but you can manage 2 workspace and there is no limit on the how many collections you can add that. Let me create a sample workspace so we can just quickly get started with it. So let's say I will add something community call and I will give the location as and I will create a workspace. So once you have a workspace available in your Bruno, you can create a number of collections inside that. So let's say I will create echo collection and we will create some requests. I will hit the Bruno endpoint, bruno.com, and I will name it as echo request. You have a request inside that, you can use it and you can just add a sample body as same Bruno and you can just execute the request. You'll receive the response here. So with the workspace, you can have different things. So if you go here, you can add a workspace level documentation from here, which is Markdown supported documentation. So let's say you want to add something as workspace documentation, and you can just click on Control Save, and it will just quickly give the preview of the Markdown you have written. And you can create a collection from here. You can open a collection. You can open import collection from Postman, Insomnia. If you have any other API client, you can just simply put your .json files here and you can just import those collections from here as well. More than that, if you want to manage multiple collections, you can just go here. So there are different options in a drop down. You can just click on this drop down button here. You can manage, like you can see the number of workspace you have. You can see like which workspace you have already created. You'll get a list of workspace which are available inside of Bruno. You can rename from here. You can just, if you want to delete that, you can, if you want to remove that, you can remove it from here and bunch of stuff you can do. You can see the location as well, where it's actually stored. And yeah, this is pretty much about a workspace. One edge case, which is, so you can add a multiple collections inside of a single workspace and you can maintain 2 workspace at a time in a open source edition. So next thing that we have is themes, which you already discussed. Another thing we have YAML support. So let's say if you want to create a collection, previously it was a brew file, which is Bruno created like a brew schema. So whatever you have written inside a Bruno or particular request, it gives you a schema or a structure like this, which is a brew lang. So you have some metadata, names, information about your request, URL, what kind of payload you have, and some settings. So right now, we are adding support for YAML. So let's say I will create a sample collection to show you how YAML looks like. So test as YAML, and you have to select a format from here. So default is a brew for now, but in upcoming time when we'll have feedback from the community, we are going to turn it as a YAML. But you have to choose manually if you want to choose YAML as your uh, type of collection. So you can choose a particular option here. So I will just simply create a same endpoint bruno.com, and let's name it as a request. Let's say I will add some data here as JSON use Bruno, and I will execute the request. Now if you go here, you will see the kind of YAML kind of structure, and this is a brew. So you see like this is a difference, and the benefit of the YAML is like using a YAML, like you can self-host your documentation and do a lot of you can access YAML, and you can do bunch of for different use cases. This is the most requested thing which you can like, which is now available in a beta release. So you can actually use this and do like use for your workspace. And this is a brew schema, and this is how it looks like. So this is a one thing, themes which you already discussed. Right now there are few items, few UI revamps which we have done in a response pane. So right now we have a data type selector. So in a response pane, we have added a response data type selector. So previously there is no way you can see if you want to see your response in a different category. Just say if I want to see my response in a HTML, you can select HTML, you can select JavaScript. There are pretty much options are available here right now, which previously was not there. And there's a small thing which we have added here as different options. So let's say if you want to copy a response, you can just quickly go to this three dots, and you can just copy response, save response, and download. You can change the layout. So these are the UI changes we have done. And there is the one thing which is I want to highlight, which is a part of Bruno V2, but if you don't find, or if you want to just, so for the request examples, which is highly used for the testing purpose, you can just take it. So which will available as example from here. So you can do a lot of testing. You can use it for a lot of testing use cases, but if you don't know, or if you're not able to find a particular icon or option to use this feature, you can just quickly go here and see as a save response, and you can just save your current request into a different response format. Let's say JSON to HTML, and you can do your testing. If you're testing different edge cases for the HTML response, you can test it like that. There is another thing which I want to show is the number of items we have moved from paid edition to open source. So first thing is switch to toggle mode, which is a part of previously it was a part of paid edition. So right now you can just quickly see what your request contains. So let's say I have this particular response header, status, and complete thing. So you can just quickly switch to file mode or switch to code mode as well. So this is the first thing. Another thing we have moved towards is history feature. Let's say you have executed a particular request, you can see the number of requests you have executed. Right now I have one request which I executed, so it's showing me here. So you can just see all the history with all the details you have. Another thing is Git. So previously it was not supposed to initialize or anything. You can do in directly from the app, but right now you can initialize your collection inside Bruno app, and you can view the changes. You can't commit or you can't push, but you can pull the changes, and you can initialize. You can see the diff, what kind of file you have changed, or what are all the changes you have done here. You can see the diff between different files. You can see you can initialize the collection, and you can pull the changes from your remote. So these are the few initial level items we have in a Git, which you can use as a part of open source edition. And there's interesting feature which we have moved to open source is new JS file. So let's say you want to create a reusable components or scripts. So you can just simply add a component JS, or you can create a folder separately for that, and you can write your any valid JavaScript code, which can be anything like a component, and you can just export that as module.exports, and you can just use it anywhere. You can just import it inside a request by go to your scripts, and just you can say constant component equal to require. You can have to specify the path of your JS file. So with this feature, you can actually do a lot of work in a Bruno. So previously, if you have some script at collection level, we have implemented a new concept where every request which belongs to your particular collection or folder, which is run in isolated environment. So let's say if you are running something here, might be anything. So it's only relevant to a particular state or particular collection folder or request, is not going to be shared with your folder or file. Previously it is possible, but right now it's not. So this is a breaking changes. So if you're migrating from V2 to V3, you have to make sure that whatever you have here, you can move it either to component.js file, or you can change your scripting logic from collection to make sure that whatever you have at collection level, it will only be relevant to a collection level pre or post script. It's not going to be shared with request or folder level script. You have to write your own script, and if you want to use separate script as a reusable component, so you have to use a JS file, you can, which is you can directly create from create new JS file, and you can just start using this feature instead of sharing scripts through collection, folder, and request. And also one addition to that, we can, like, you can use that shareable thread, but in terms of variables. So let's say if you want to share a particular value from collection level to your request or folder level, so you can set brew.set var, and you can actually share this particular value from, let's say, sample, and you can use it as sample. So you save it here, and you can just use this particular variable, which you can see from variable. Okay, I have to run a collection to make sure that it will be visible. And if I go here, okay, do I have anything? Okay, I don't need this. And you can run a collection. So I have to make sure that this site and run a collection. So I'm assuming that I have a particular variable here, and you can use this variable at uh, like request or anywhere you want to use. So you can just simply access that value to your headers and different ways. So this is how you can share particular values from collection to request. But in terms of script, you have to write your all the script logic inside a script file, create this file separately, and then you can access it like importing a particular file or component directly from your script, which is, I think, more helpful in terms of writing your script at collection and different levels, because sometimes there are some users have a logic where if on a particular execution, if you're returning and stopping the execution of particular logic or particular loop. So at collection level script, it stops, then at folder or request level, it's not going to run. So in terms of repeatable tasks or just reusing the logic, it's not a standard way to do that. So that's why, like, that's the reason we have added this concept where everything is going to be isolation in terms of scripts to a collection, folder, and request level. And if you want to use the reusable thing, then you have to go to create JS file, and you can just use it for that. So this is about for all the features which I have moved. And there are a few things about the auth to update as well, which I want to show here. So let's say on the auth. So on the auth, we have implemented browser system browser. So previously it was just a Electron browser or a desktop browser which open when you have to use OAuth2. But right now you have system browser. So you have particular setup in OAuth2 with the authorization code. So it's actually open your own configured browser, which might be Chrome, Safari, or any other Firefox, and it will open that particular OAuth2 code through that browser, and it will return your token or whatever the expected thing from your OAuth2 call. So that's the one thing. Another thing, we have documented everything. Let me. Okay. So we have documented everything in the OAuth2 section. So if you want to find a more information about that, you can go here and you can just see system browser documentation. So you'll get a better idea on global configurations and how you want to use for an individual request. And we have implemented a package called use Bruno auth callback server for your local development. So if you have not configured your auth callback URL, or if you want to configure that, so you can just simply use this instead of doing your own configuration. It's a quick way to set up your local server and just start using auth2 for the some test cases or sample purpose. So you can start doing that as well. So that's a auth2 related. If you something going to break for you, so make sure that before migrating to V3, these are the few edge cases we have to think about, or you can configure. There is a last item which we are going to take is dev tools. So right now you will see a option called terminal when you open dev tools from here. Let me. So on terminal right now, these are the dev tools which are available inside of Bruno. But addition to that is a another section called terminal where you can actually do everything which you normally do on your normal terminal. So let's say previously people have to the people who use terminal for your git collaboration, they have to switch between Bruno and terminal to into like initialize their collections and see all the git related stuff. But right now you can just simply start from here and it will just show you the same thing, or it works like same terminal for you, and you can actually do the same thing, pretty much everything on you do on your with your normal terminal. And if I go to Echo Bruno and let's say and can, so it just works like a same thing. So I want to see Echo API, what you have that Echo request brew, and it will work like the same thing. You can execute the all commands and you can navigate directly, initialize repo, install different packages, or just pretty much everything you can do. So this is a terminal thing which we have integrated. There are still we are ongoing progress, but if you find any issue while using it, feel free to report it on a Discord or GitHub. We'll happily to take that. And last thing is documentation. So we have implemented a really cool feature on in terms of documentation. So if you go to collection level, so this is my collection. And if I go to settings overview, so here is an option called generate docs. So previously, a concept is very manual stuff where you have to go to collection level and you have to write a documentation for each thing. So let's say this is a documentation part which I want to write. API or to collection or something which is markdown supported again, and it will do the same thing for you, but you have to manually write a documentation for each and every request folder or collection level. But this is a auto generation documentation. So the idea is very simple. You click on generate docs, you will click on generate button, and that's it. You will get a HTML file including your collection name, and you'll just save it. And once it's done, it will just simply give the HTML file, which I will show you how it looks like. So you'll get an idea. Um, yeah. So this is how the HTML file looks like. I don't have a lot of stuff here. So this is the request which we have. So you will see a nice uh, like open API spec kind of UI where you can actually see like which is better visible with the URLs. You have code snippet or curl commands you want to use. You can just simply copy from here. You can use it from body, what kind of body you have in particular request. The create.js file we have created with like a component file. You can say it, and if you want to play around it, you can just click on try button and you can just play around it. So this is kind of an interface for you to execute a request on your website, or like in a HTML file, you can send request, you can see a body, the auth is here, scripts, assertions, test. So we have pretty much added a support for everything, and you can see the folders as well, not just a request. So pretty much about everything. And this is a HTML file which you can update, or you can just improvise this, and you can deploy it to Vercel, Netlify, or you can add it to GitHub as well. So it just help your team collaboration in a better way, where no one, if someone want to get started with your API collection, they don't need to go through a lot of documentation. They can just simply go to this HTML file and they can see like what kind of URL you have, what kind of configuration you have to done in terms of body or authentications. And he will see all the scripts, automation like auth and things you need to done. So this is a one feature which will help you in terms of documentation and team collaboration in a better way compared to what we have in V2, where you have to write a documentation at docs tab manually every time. So this is a pretty much about V3, and there is a separate blog we have worked on. If I recently shared in a Discord, but still. So these are the all breaking changes which we have introduced in V3. From V2 to V3, what will break and how to fix it with the fix option to each section. There are possibly three different things up for CLI and script isolation. Uh, Again, developer mode and safe mode as a sandbox in a CLI. And what are the second scripting changes? And we are using a node VM now. So you don't need to whitelist the modules. You can just simply just install the particular library and you can just use it. You don't need to whitelist that in a V3 as well. But things will work smoothly and same way, but pretty much you don't need to repeat or add like whitelist every module. You don't need to do that in a V3 now. So these are the few breaking changes in V3 which you have to take care. And yeah, you can just simply hit blog.ilbruno.com and you can go through this blog to make sure that everything will work smoothly for you. Nothing will break in V3. So yeah, this is a stuff which we have done.